Última hora. El hijo del titán ha enviado importante comunicado. Ahora que el titán no está en el puesto que le corresponde. Es cuando hasta los que votaron por los demócratas sienten el grave error que cometieron de haber apoyado el fraude contra el titán. El ilegítimo es una persona que no sabe ni dónde está parado. Esas fueron las palabras que el hijo del titán usó hoy en entrevista. Ahora que el ilegítimo aumenta los impuestos. Acaba con la industria energética que dejó el titán al país. Y que no negoció jamás con algún régimen de izquierda. Deja en evidencia que es ser un verdadero líder que piensa en favor de todos sus habitantes. No piensa jamás en hacer negocios con el Partido Comunista Chino como si el ilegítimo lo hizo. Porque este enfermo no le importa el futuro ni el presente de sus ciudadanos. Cree que con acabarse todo el dinero en un solo año es una buena decisión. Todos concordamos en las palabras que dijo hoy el hijo del honorable titán. El ilegítimo no tiene la aprobación de ninguna persona con sentido común. Esas políticas de extrema izquierda solo han dejado a los países que las han implementado en la completa ruina. Los únicos beneficiados de la quiebra de estos países siempre serán China y Rusia. Es por eso que, como dijo el excelente presentador que entrevistó al hijo del titán, el titán se está extrañando en estos momentos y mucho. Y es el momento en que regrese y retome su puesto en la Casa Blanca. Solo él sabe cómo incrementar el bienestar de sus habitantes. Al parecer el tercer hijo del titán se proyecta como presidente de esta gran nación que está siendo acabada por el ilegítimo. La familia del titán dejó claro que están al servicio de este país porque ellos sí lo aman. No como otros que se venden a los comunistas por un poco de dinero. A continuación la entrevista al hijo del titán.
Eric Trump is the executive vice president of the Trump Organization, and he also happens to be the son of the 45th president of the United States, and who knows, maybe the 47th president of the United States as well. Eric, welcome back to Newsmax. How are you?
Hey, Greg, it's great to be back on.
Listen, it's been about 2 months. Does he miss, and do you miss the life? I know it was chaotic, it was brutal at times, and the media, they were relentless against you guys.
Sure.
What about it do you miss, if anything?
Well, listen, I've always said this, Greg, and I've told you this many times in person and frankly on the show, but listen, I think my father's life is substantially better outside of politics. It's a brutal job. You saw what the media did to him every single day. I mean, you saw, the press briefing rooms every single day. You'd see the way Jim Acosta would, shout at him and scream at him, literally all day long, no matter what he did. He could part the sea, he could cure cancer. No matter what he did, they would find fault in it. And, I think my father has probably a much better life outside of politics. At the same time, you see the joker that's in there right now. You see his policies, you see what they're doing to this country, and it's devastating. And honestly, it frankly hurts as a family who fought so much to better America. You see what this guy's doing with the border right now, and it's awful. I mean, look at the crisis that they have at the border. My father had that problem solved. He had built 500 miles of border wall. They were building, 7-10 miles a day. It was unbelievable how fast it was going up at the end after he got rid of all the nonsense, after he got rid of all the red tape, after he got all the funding. Look at what they're doing with, energy independence in this country. My father had gas down at $2.50. Right now it's $5.30, $5.40 a gallon. I mean, people's gas bills are going up by hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month. I mean, look what he's doing with taxes. He wants to reverse all my father's tax cuts, which is one of the reasons that the markets, went to highs never before seen in this country. And I could go on and on and on. Look at the lack of respect by Iran and throughout, frankly, the Middle East. The first thing that Biden did when he came in, I'm going to ease all the sanctions. I'm going to ease the sanctions. So you want to ease the sanctions on a country, Greg, that chants death to America. And that's exactly what Biden wants to do. And, these policies are a joke. And so I think my father's life is a lot better being outside of politics, not being, in that, bullseye every single day at the same time as a family who gave it all to fight for America, a country that we love. It's devastating to see what these jokers are doing in the Oval Office. It's just so counterproductive to a country that we all love so much.
Well, a good chunk of this country, half of it loves your father and your family. I mean, I've never seen it, a rally
Thank you.
You know, even for that was generally supportive of a candidate. You know, we love you. You never saw that at a Hillary Clinton rally, and it was spontaneous and it was beautiful. Look, I don't know if you're right, though, about Joe Biden doing all those things, because it looks like he's just along. I don't know if he knows where he is. This actually happened today. Yeah. He doesn't seem to know where he is, who he is, what he is, and who Kamala Harris is.
Now, when President Harris and I took a virtual tour.
It was right there, President Harris. I mean, everybody kind of gasped. This is really embarrassing.
Greg, it's scary. It's scary. It's scary the way they locked him in his basement in Wilmington, Delaware. It's scary the lack of access that, during the campaign, he just didn't get out there. He wouldn't make himself available. You know, it's scary when Jen Psaki, effectively asked for, pre-written questions. Could you imagine if Sarah Huckabee Sanders ever asked for scripted questions, or if Kayleigh McEnany ever asked for scripted questions? I mean, what is this? Are these guys not professionals? Is this a high school student who wants to have the Cliff Notes ahead of time? I mean, what is this? You have a job. You are the press secretary for the president of the United States, and you can't do your homework, and you can't be well read, and you can't be well prepared, and you have to ask for this stuff ahead of time. I mean, the lack of transparency is incredible. They always went in, we're going to be the most transparent administration in the history of this country. My father was the most transparent administration in the history of this country, because every single time, no matter where he went, if he went out to Marine One, if he went to Air Force One, if he left the Oval Office, if he went into the White House briefing room every single day, which you've spent a lot of time in, I mean, no matter where, every single day you heard from the President of the United States, and you heard it out of his mouth, and not transcribed through some proxy, and you don't have the same thing. I mean, the guy doesn't know where he is. You watch him walk across the south grounds of the White House. He can barely make it. Greg, it's frighteningly scary, and God bless the guy. I mean, you don't wish evil on anybody, but this is the commander-in-chief of the United States of America, and he's not all there. And by the way, calling Kamala Harris the president, that's not the first time he did that. He did that. You remember this very well. You reported on it very well. He did that during the election as well, and that's it's scary stuff. It's horribly scary stuff.
Your dad exerted leadership. It's leadership. You're right. You never hear from him. Yeah. If you want to lead, you got to speak. And he took questions all the time. Look, I do want to run this by you, though. I feel like you mentioned he's better off now out of politics. I think his stock is increasing right now. I know the system and the swamp are still working against him, but the American people, even those who didn't like him, they knew that he was working very hard, and they can take one look at Joe Biden and they know, he's not all there and he's not really working hard. At the very least, he doesn't seem to be putting in a lot of effort. I think his stock is going up. Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy at all. I hear it every single day. And for fact, listen, I live in New York, and I hear it from people all the time, which is, sometimes I wasn't a fan of the way a message was delivered. I personally am. I love it. I love direct people. It's kind of who I am, maybe who we are as a family. But man, was that man effective. I mean, everything he said he was going to do, he did. Whether it's crush ISIS, crush, the caliphate, get rid of the Taliban. You saw what he did over there. I mean, how about Middle East peace? Every other administration talked about Middle Eastern peace, and no one was able to achieve it. Look what he is able to do with North Korea, and putting them in their place, and not really hearing a whole lot from him during, that administration. Like, that was an amazing, amazing accomplishment. Look what he did for energy independence. Look what he did in terms of bringing manufacturing back to this country, and taxes and deregulation and bringing money back from overseas and everything. I mean, there's so many things. Fixing the VA, which was a total mess. I mean, rebuilding the military, which also was a total mess and totally depleted and totally run down. And sure, he probably sent some tweets that offended, or that people just didn't like the tone of. That's fine. But the man was incredibly effective. And now you have somebody who's on the opposite end of that spectrum. Not only is he not sending tweets, but he is totally ineffective. And people don't know where he stands on most issues. And I think he is a proxy for the radical left. Every single day, he's becoming more radical. And it's very scary to me, Greg. It's horribly scary, and I think a lot of people are going to miss Donald Trump and how effective of a leader he was.
Well, they do already. They want him back. A lot do, and even those who didn't think they'd miss him are missing him. So I hope he comes back. Keep us informed. This is an opinion show. I'm allowed to say that. I want him back in a big way. Eric Trump, to be continued, sir. All the best to your dad and everybody at the Trump Organization and to your family.
Suscríbete al canal Tu Mundo Ahora y activa la campanita, así no te perderás ninguna noticia de los hechos más importantes de América y el mundo.